In Australia, if your name's Warren, all your mates are going to call you Wazza, but Wazza Craft refers to this brand new Boss Dimension C, which is a reissue of a classic Boss effect, of course, the DC-2 Dimension, which has been probably the most requested Wazza Craft series pedal, I would imagine, just by looking at like message boards, and also for my own personal desire. As soon as Boss came out with the Wazza Craft, I was like, I really hope they do a Dimension. So let's have a look at what's in the box, let's have a listen to some sounds, and let's get down with Chorus from the Dimension. So that's what comes in the box. Let's have a look at the front of the pedal. The most, I guess, distinguishing thing about it is that there are no knobs. You just have 4 push buttons, and of course, you can push more than 2 buttons at once. On the old unit, you could press up to 4, but in this case, you can engage 1 and 2 together, 1 and 3 together, 2 and 4 together, and 3 and 4 together. Furthermore, you can replicate the rack mount version of the Dimension by clicking that switch over to the STD 320 mode. So super easy to use. You can use it in stereo or mono. It also has stereo ins. One nice thing about this, in addition to being a chorus, it also phase reverses one of the delay lines. The TC-2290 was another device that did this in the 80s, and it essentially gives you this super wide sounding stereo field, which is super cool if you're using chorus. And chorus has been uncool for such a long time that it's nice to see it making a comeback. And the Dimension is either going to be your favorite chorus pedal if you're a chorus fan, and it's also kind of the chorus pedal for people who don't like chorus. So let's have a listen to what it sounds like. I'm going to play a simple loop. Of course, I'm going to play some rush through this. We'll hear it in front of the amp, and we'll hear it after the amp in stereo. And then I'm just going to play around with it with a clean sound and a dirty sound and go to town on it. So Okay, hopefully listening to like 7 minutes of the same Rush riff didn't drive you guys crazy and you're still with me, but I figure most of you guys are probably going to use this on a pedal board and most of you are going to run in mono. So I'll just go through some of my favorite sounds in mono with a very, very clean sound. Play some sus2 chords and basically get this kind of widening effect with it if you use mode 3 with the SCD 320 mode. That's one of my favorite sounds, so here it is dry. And then in addition to that, mode 1 and 3 sounds pretty similar to that. I think it sounds pretty good for single note stuff as well, if you're doing the kind of clicky, palm muted funk stuff. And it's still a cool way to have modulation, but it makes the guitar still very present and direct, and I would say, you might say dry would be one way of describing it, but that sounds really good. Then just a standard dimension mode with 2 and 4, so the pedal dimension mode, also works really well in that setting if you're doing the kind of Afrobeat influence stuff, which is pretty popular at the moment in a lot of modern pop. So that's pretty cool. Let's have a listen to it with some drive, because I really like this. Sort of the way you would use a Phase 90 as a kind of just in front of a mono dirty guitar amp, just to give you something different, just to almost give you the effect that you're using an out-of-phase humbucker. I really like this on just plain old mode 3. So I'll dial up a dirty sound and we'll have a listen to that. All right, here's the dry sound. If you want a more extreme version of that, use mode 3 and 4 together. So that one's super cool, and then if you want the Alex Lifeson thing, that kind of, I would say, between Permanent Waves and Grace Under Pressure Rush kind of tone, for me, I found the SCD 320 mode on mode number 2 is pretty good at giving you that really just nice amount of wash. Again, it doesn't sort of get, I shouldn't say wash, because it doesn't get washed out. It's still very present and in your face, but yeah, it gives you that dimension to it, which is a great name for the pedal. It really does add something musical to what's going on. None of these settings are too like washed out or swirly or anything, which is really easy to get with just a standard chorus pedal, trying to balance out the rate and the depth. Whereas with this, I would say it's all very musical, all very usable. So yeah, let's play some Rush, I guess. So I love that SCD mode, I have to admit. I kind of prefer that in nearly every setting except the ones that I mentioned earlier. Mode 1 and 3 is really, really great. Mode 1 on its own is really cool for chordal stuff, and so is Mode 2. Everything just sounds good. It's a pretty musical little pedal. The only thing about this that I could fault Boss for is the price point. In Australia, it retails for nearly $350, which is, you could get like an okay condition vintage one for about that. It obviously can't do the SCD mode. It's obviously not going to have like warranty. It's probably going to have like had a pretty hard life of getting beaten around. But yeah, that's my only criticism of the pedal, is that it's just over $300 for a Boss pedal. Let's face it, you know, Boss are amazing and they're great at what they do, but at the same time, try to find a good condition one of these. It's vintage. It's, you know, people are going to want to buy this because it does that sound, and people have been waiting for it for so long. And there's not a whole lot else out there that does it. I think maybe the old Behringer clone of this was meant to be pretty good, so I'll have to track one of those down and A/B it. But, you know, having said that, I went and paid for this thing. I went and bought it from Mega Music today and tried it out, and it lives up to, I won't say the hype, but it lives up to what it should do. It gives you that late 70s, early 80s, really musical kind of chorus sound. It's not too washed out, it's still really in your face, and you've got the added bonus of having the SCD mode on there as well, which I think is really great. The only thing I wish you could do is press all 4 buttons, because when you try to do that, you either get 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. It would just be cool to have all the lights on. Boss apparently claims that 1, 2, 3, 4 altogether isn't a different sound, but I don't know. Other people out there are saying, you know, that's not the case. So I don't have an original to compare it against, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. If you're into guitar, you're probably going to like this pedal. And plus, it's purple, just like my hat, which is why I like it. So if you like the demo and you want to talk more about the Dimension C, leave a comment. If you've bought one of these Wazacraft ones, let me know. Let me know the settings that you like, because I'm always trying to try new things. And if you're using it with guitar or with other instruments, or even if you're using the SCD mode like in a mix as a piece of outboard gear, that'd be pretty cool to hear about. And if your name is Warren and you're from Australia and you play Wazacraft, you've made it. That's a terrible joke as well. See you later, guys. Cheers.